Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for part 2 of the Q&A, so let's go ahead and knock this out. All right, first question. Could someone rerun your novice program if they've regressed below the novice strength numbers from day detraining or cutting too fast, even if they're an intermediate in the sense of years lifting? Merry Festivus. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Look, if you have detrained or you have lost muscle mass, like if you've lost more than about 5 pounds of muscle mass for whatever reason, through detraining, through cutting too hard, any of that nonsense, you're going to have muscle memory to deal with. Now, where people make the mistake with something like muscle memory is that they assume what? They assume, oh, it's instantaneous return. No, it basically comes back like noob gains. Right? It's like noob gains all over again. You can probably put on 2 pounds of muscle every month. So if you've lost 5 pounds of muscle, you can probably run a novice program for about 8 to 10 weeks and make novice type progression again for a little while, for a very short period of time. And that's what it means, because what's the difference between novice programming versus intermediate programming? How quickly you add weight to the bar or you add workload. That's the biggest difference. How fast you progress. You know, that's why I tell people, if you're a novice lifter and you want to run an advanced program, that's a really bad idea. Expect to progress like an advanced lifter, right? Which means be happy with 2 pounds of muscle over the next year, because that's what you're going to do on an advanced program, right? So no, I think you're on track here. I think it's perfectly fine. Knock yourself out. Go for it. Merry Christmas, Jason. What is your 1 rep goal on the press at the end of 2019? Happy lifting. At the end of 2019. Man, dude, you're putting me an entire year ahead. Well, actually, isn't that how advanced lifters need to plan their goals? Yearly goals, right? Like novice lifters set weekly goals. Intermediate lifters set monthly goals, and advanced lifters set yearly goals, right? That's how it works. So that's totally fair. Ideally, I want to be under 200 pounds and hit my 225 press again, right? I want to do that. Now, some people are going to say, but Jason, it's not that great. Even Kenobody did that already. Yeah, he did. How many guys do you think out there can do a press, and I mean the press, with 225 who are under 200 pounds and over the age of 40? Well, in an official environment, like you go look at strength lifting, nobody has ever done it. No one has ever done it in a strength lifting meet where the press is one of the 3 competitive lifts. So in that sport, it's not been done by a single person yet. So I think that's a goal. Is it lofty? Yeah. Am I going to reach it? I don't know. I'm going to try, though. I think it's worth trying. So I think that's what I'm going to push for. So we'll see what happens. And if I fall short, it's like, oh no, I'm going to fall short of breaking a record in a fairly new strength sport. That's what I'm going to fall short of doing. I'm not going to be the world record holder. That's all good, guys. So I'll reach for it. All right, next question. Can women build a big butt just by squatting / deadlifting? If so, why are so many women on Instagram doing band work and machine work and have big butts? I tried telling my girlfriend that she doesn't need to waste her time with a ton of lower body exercises and just focus on getting as strong as she can on squats and deadlifts. So I just wanted to make sure. I'm pretty sure you've addressed this before in an earlier video, but I just wanted to bring to attention the Instagram fitness models who aren't really doing heavy squats and deadlifts. All right, guys, I'm going to tell you right now that if you see a woman with a big butt who doesn't do squats and deadlifts, that's either genetics, fat, or implants, right? That's what you're dealing with. She didn't build that ass doing those exercises. You know why? They don't even work that well. They don't work that well. The foundation for building the booty is going to come from your squats and your deadlifts. That's going to be the foundation. And a squat, again, I mean at least a parallel squat, nothing higher than that. And I mean true parallel, not internet parallel. Like internet parallel or bodybuilder parallel is about 8 inches above parallel, right? Get a camera and make sure your hip drops below the knee. That's parallel. Deep squats. Deep squats. That is your secret. Other stuff can help, but like with anything else, little fluff movements don't ever build muscle. They don't build muscle. There's no evidence that would suggest that even isolating a muscle builds more muscle than compounds, right? We still don't have studies even confirming that curls beat lat pull downs for biceps, right? So when we're talking about a big muscle like the glute, you think isolating it with a light weight is going to build muscle, then you're delusional. These women are just selling gimmicky shit. They're lazy women who happen to have big asses for one reason or another. This is not going to help a woman who actually does want to add a couple of inches of real muscle to her booty to make it bigger and rounder, who doesn't want to get really fat to get a big booty. And keep in mind, a lot of these women have high body fats and just have lipo and stuff around their hips and stomach. She's going to need to squat. Now, I'm not saying you can't do other stuff. Look, if the squat and deadlift aren't getting it done and you want to incorporate some glute bridges and stuff with a barbell, all right, knock yourself out. You might need to do that if the butt is going to be your primary focus. But most of the size you're going to get from it's going to come from the barbell squat if done correctly. That's going to be your core exercise right there. It should be your primary focus. All right, next question. Hey, boss. First powerlifting meet is coming up in February. For the week before, would it be okay to do a type of Bulgarian training for peaking, or do you recommend another way of peaking? Man, I think you need to be going to some Bulgarian at least a month out. All right, look, it's about to be G. You're not going to get this video till at the end of the month. I'm going to recommend you start Bulgarian in January. You aren't practicing your singles now? Start hitting your singles. You don't peak in the final week, man. You peak the week before. You peak the week before. I don't recommend you hit a training max at all the last few days. I usually recommend you come and you test your openers 1 week out, and then maybe a day later hit another training max and you start ramping them down. You start coming down to singles with 70%, right? That's what I recommend. You start taking 10% off each time. Build down. So if you're squatting 400 as your training max, you probably want to come hit like 360 come Monday, 320 come Tuesday, right? Yeah. Maybe 280, 285 on Wednesday. And don't touch a weight on Thursday or Friday. You need to get ready for that Saturday weigh-in. That's what you need to do. That's what I would recommend. All right, next question. Bulking, gaining 1 pound a month. Does this seem feasible for an intermediate who doesn't mind the slow progress? Well, that ultimately comes down to the question of do you mind slow progress? If you're going to only gain 1 pound a month because you're thinking it's going to be all lean, and that's your strategy, it may work. But I'm going to tell you right now, as an intermediate, making 100% lean gains, which means even that pound you gain being all muscle, everything's going to have to be on point. It's going to have to be perfect. Your stress management and fatigue management are going to have to be perfect. Your diet's going to have to be perfect. Like, that's a lofty goal for a true intermediate lifter. Gaining a solid pound of muscle, so you're going to clean bulk, super clean lean bulk, right? Gaining a solid pound of muscle every month with 0 fat is one hell of a lofty goal. It can be done, but it's going to be difficult. It's not going to give you a lot of margin for error. You need to get everything perfect. Your training better be perfect. Nutrition better be perfect. That's why I tell most guys. I mean, honestly, I would tell you, you would probably be better if you're wanting to actually make gains. Go ahead and gain a couple pounds every month. And you know some of it's going to be fat. Diet down later. Even that's for an intermediate. It's being realistic here. Now, I'm not saying your other method can't work, but you need to be prepared for really, really slow gains if you're going to do that. And that's fine. If you don't mind the slow gains, like you said, I think it's perfectly acceptable. But I am going to recommend that you really, really pay attention to fatigue management and make sure everything's good. Make sure everything is dialed in right if you want to try to pull that off successfully. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time in part 3.